Yep. Okay. Hey, we're also going to restart this game. So I guess my mic wasn't working for a long time. That's what happens when you have no viewers. You have no one to tell you. Thank you, Rice Hat, for letting me know. I would have been really bummed if I did 3 whole series and none of it was captured. So definitely appreciate it. So, okay, if you were watching this earlier, sorry for having to rewatch it again. If not, welcome back to StarCraft Underground. This is the winners bracket semifinals for our number 6 Brood War tournament. So in StarCraft Underground, we have a ton of tournaments going on. I think we're on like 15 right now. The winner of this will go to the finals, and then the loser will have an opportunity to compete in the lower bracket semifinals and make their way back. Okay, so right now who we're seeing is Navain as our red Protoss in the top right, and Goosehead as our blue Zerg in the top left. And we haven't casted Goosehead, I don't think, on this channel. He's relatively new to StarCraft Underground, but he's been doing well, especially since he's made it all the way up to the semifinals. And StarCraft Underground has a whole plethora of skill ranges, especially in Brood War. And, you know, if you're making it to the semifinals, you're doing something right. Also, to note, we're playing on Polestar. 4-player map spawns in each of the corners. And that's that. So let's go ahead and get back into it. It's kind of weird recasting something again, unfortunately. We were about 12 minutes in when I had to restart this. But right now what we do see is we see Navain going down to the bottom right with his initial probe scout. And then slapping down a pylon here at the natural in preparation for, you know, a wall off and expansion. Now, because of the wall off and expansion, Goosehead is going to likely see this natural early on. And he's going to get a confirmation of the location of the Protoss player here. Now, taking a second probe to go up to the top left, Navain really wanting to try to find the Zerg player, ensure that there's no early shenanigans, getting 4-pooled, anything crazy along those lines. And at this moment, Goose knows. So he brings his drone back, no longer needing to go down to the bottom left, and is instead going to use it to build his hatchery here at the natural. Now also note, Goose is preparing his third right off the rip. So he's sending this drone up here to go ahead and take his third base. Now I don't know where the probe went. Oh yeah, that's right. The probe came up here, and with just a quick little grab, Goose was able to kill it with all of his drones really, really quick. Okay, so what we see from Navain is we do see an expansion going down here at the natural, and an initial forge is a part of the wall. No gateway as of yet. And Navain has done this a few times, where he'll open with a forge here and just go straight into cannons and kind of make a cannon wall, and then build up from there. It's something that we've seen on the channel before, particularly against Zerg. Alright, so we're now seeing the third base go down for Goose. And a second probe to come up here and confirm all of this. Keeping an eye out for any type of Ling Flood, any type of specific tech that might be going down for the Zerg player. And the main's even going to come up here and check the third. I mean, he hasn't seen any of the Zerglings. He hasn't seen anything that would lead him to believe, you know, like, he's definitely aware that the money is going somewhere. So he does confirm that there's a third base location. Still hasn't seen these Zerglings yet. And the Zerglings are now going to start chasing this probe around. Eventually, probably kill the scout. Now back home for Navain, we do have a gateway go down. Not an airtight wall, but kind of like a zealot wide wall with a single cannon. He hasn't started producing zealots or anything yet either. We see the probe starting going back to the natural, and at the natural we do have a Hydralisk den. Drone tries to block it, doesn't want it to see it, but it does get through. And Navain's going to be aware, okay, no Mutalisks early on. What he's going to have to fend off is going to be a horde of Hydralisks. So now, what kind of response do we see after he knows that? So what we see is we have a Cybernetics core going down in the main. Looks like he's back home, telling his probes to go back to mining. Where's this guy going? What's he doing? And throwing down another gateway. Meanwhile, Zerglings are heading across, going to meet up over here. Now, the whole time, Goose has had Overlords just bebopping around this base, so Goose knows that he's got a little bit of time. He knows that Navana's invested early in cannons and not so much in production, and he's going to come over here and confirm that the production is just now coming up. Citadel of Dune being constructed, and he knows that nothing is really left. Alright, so we have Hydralisk on the field. Looks like he has them rallying over here to the front of Navane's Natural. A couple more, I guess just one more cannon and a pylon going down. And he's using 2 Zealots to block off this wall from any potential Zergling attack. Goose is deciding to preserve his Overlord. He saw the Cybernetics Core, he knows the gateways are out. No need in getting it sniped by a Dragoon. And we do have the Zealots kind of run out here to see what's going on. They dance with the Zerglings a little bit, and they start heading out. And these Hydralisks are going to just pick them off, I think. Yeah, first one goes down. The second one looks like he's running home, but it's going to get killed as well. And now Goose has a pretty decent advantage with the only army being a single Zealot. I don't see any way for these 2 buildings to really survive. He's got enough Hydralisks here where he can just start hammering down this forge, and he sees the wheel spinning. He knows that there's an upgrade going on. So getting the value of also denying that upgrade, or delaying it rather, is going to be very helpful. Now, more cannons going down, but they are just not being constructed fast enough. They were the initial round of them were just a little far back, and they couldn't help defend here. Now, Goose getting a little bit antsy, pushes forward into these cannons, but there's just so many of them that they are starting to kill Hydralisk, combined with this Zealot that's tanking a ton of damage. Once the Zealot goes down, more probes come out here. They're also taking hits left and right. But the cannons and the probes effectively do kind of hold off this initial attack from Goose. And so Navane has kind of survived that first round. More Hydralisks rallying over here. Supplies still remaining equal. And Navane is starting to go into full production mode. Started to get a couple more gateways. More pylons, opening up his supply a bit, and rebuilt that forge up in the main base. Goose thinking the same thing, also needs more production, throws down 3 hatcheries. Hasn't started layer yet, but is also putting down an evolution chamber. Preparation of getting some upgrades going. And we also see the Templar archives for our Protoss player. So, in lieu of trying to take shuttles out or anything like that, definitely looking for High Templar and Storm as the primary way to fight this mass Hydralisk play. More cannons going down, really heavily investing in a cannon wall here at the front of the Natural while building up the infrastructure behind. Because he's not using like all the gateways right now. He's got a couple High Templar building. He's got Storm on the way. He's got a Zealot being produced, but he really doesn't have much as far as like a ground army. No robotics facility. He kind of peeks over here to see if he can get a Storm off. A little too far away, doesn't have the vision. And it looks like he's trying to move these around, but I think they're walled off right here. And back home for our Zerg player, we do have a lair that has been started. This is an indicator that we're going to be seeing lurkers on the field once that layer is complete. +1 carapace and ranged weapons being upgraded for our Zerg player. And continuing to rally and contain the Protoss in their Natural. Now I like this from Goose as well. Like, he's setting up the contain, he's macroing heavily, but he's also got Zerglings out on the field, getting vision, making sure there's nothing sneaky, no probe snuck out, there's no third base anywhere that he's unaware of. Cheap, low-cost way of just getting some vision on the map. Because ever since he moved that Overlord out of here, he doesn't really know what's going on behind this. He's only seen a couple Zealots. He knows there's a bunch of cannons. But what he doesn't know is there a Stargate? Is there a double robo facility? Are there Reavers hanging out up here waiting to kind of push into this large force? I like what Goose is doing up here as well. He's got these Hydralisks perched up here, knowing that, you know, with this contain, there's going to need to be some sort of breakout from the contain. And one method of doing that would be take some shuttles or something, fly it out. More gateways being produced. Yeah, and it doesn't look like the High Templar can't get through this, so he's going to start shooting this egg, try to open this up. Ooh, huge storm there. Just murks an entire, like, control group of Hydralisks. And we have a little bit of a dance. We have a little bit of Zealots pushing out, seeing what's going on, trying to capitalize on the damage from that initial storm, realizing there's a lot of Hydralisks, but the Hydralisk pathing is all over the place. So a couple more get picked off from these cannons that are out here. Now, back here, we do have Lurker technology finishing up here real soon. And then we also have Dragoon range being researched for our Protoss player, and it's going to be finishing up here momentarily. Now, a little bit of a push out from our Protoss player, hoping for another couple big storms. Zealots coming down here, charging over here. Storms on the left, getting a good amount of Hydralisks, at least very damaged. Between the Dragoons and the Zealots, the push out's looking pretty strong here for our Protoss player. Now, these Overlords tanking a good amount of these shots, right? Obviously not like the high priority target. They're not going anywhere. There's no speed. The Storm's doing a lot of work. Now, Zealots are dropping, and once the Zealots go down, these Dragoons left by themselves against this force aren't going to be able to cut it. Now, something else to note. Lurkers being hatched up here on the high ground. Great use of wounded Hydralisks. Now, the Lurkers, good spread, right? The biggest threat to these right now is more Storms. And they're gonna continue to contain here on all these Dragoons. Now, Dragoon count is raising. We have an observer being constructed. Robotics facility and observatory were built during that big engagement. And we have the Protoss moving out again. Now, the observer is out here. If he can target fire these Lurkers, he might be able to knock him out, but the observer gets knocked down immediately. And these Lurkers are left uncontested. All right, more Lurkers being hatched. A few more coming up to reinforce. And really, this is where the action is taking place. This is the huge... Can the Protoss push the Zerg back? This observer is out on the field. The observer, or not observers, the Overlords, I don't think are quite close enough to catch it so that the Hydralisks can snipe them. So a few Lurkers do go down. I like the way that Nevane is playing kind of around the edge of all this. Not hitting it straight on, not hitting it full frontal, but trying to make a path here because he knows he's going to need a third base. And here comes a probe actually trying to sneak through, but it gets sniped right away. It might have been a little bit too early for Nevane. But that's definitely the thought process. Right now he's trying to escort, clean this area up, get a good path so that he can get a third base and keep up with the Zerg economy. Okay, so he does have a probe there, so when he is ready to do so, he can expand. And he's cleaned up a good amount of the Zerg force. Now these Lurkers are still here. Not sure if Nevane has lost sight of them, but the observers are over here with the main force, and so he's just checking all around, making sure that this third base can go up. Still a risky third base to take. Definitely a hot area, but Nevane knows it needs to be done, and he feels that he's confident with Defender's advantage that he can probably push through this. Now these Lurkers are just getting so much value, but the observers, oh, one goes down. He protects the other one, but it's getting shot. It's getting target fired by one Hydralisk. Ah, it dies. Okay, so now the Protoss is left blind again, but there are some Storms available. And these could be dropped on top of the Lurkers. A couple Zealots here, continuing to fight the good fight. And really right now what we have is just two players taking their armies and just throwing them against each other. Like, I haven't been bouncing back to the Zerg base or anything because really all that's happening is just Hydralisk production just being rallied straight over. And again, I like the discipline of leaving the Hydralisk just on patrol up here, keeping an eye out for any type of counter, you know, like economy damage from shuttles and reavers or anything of the sort. Great storm by Nevane. And he's slowly whittling this force away. Using the probe to wall off this southern portion of the third base. And bringing a contingent of his army up here to defend it. Knowing this one is already defended by a bunch of cannons, right? And a bunch of army. And Navain is secured kind of just like a line of communication here. Where he can potentially do his probe transfer. Now this is risky. Super risky, but it pays off. Maybe a couple get sniped? No. And Goose sees it, but he was a little too late. Now he's going to try to go bust this third, but he has to pull back. He's being flanked by Zealots. If a couple storms go down, that would have been a juicy storm. Oh, just a little off center there. But we do have observers available. And the observers, though they're getting picked, there's still one left. Oh my gosh, Goose is an absolute sniper when it comes to knocking these observers out. And the storms haven't really been utilized primarily against the lurkers either. It's been kind of, can I get observers out? Can I see them? Plain as day or nothing. Now he's seeing these somehow. Okay, now he's falling back. He sniped a couple lurkers. Good storms. Now we do have Hive going down. Just wanted to bring that to attention. And upgrades are continuing for both armies. Right now, 1-1 for these Dragoons, 1-1 for the Zealots, +2 armor on the way. More lurkers. Now, the lurker count has been kind of dwindling out here. So it needs to replenish those numbers. Needs to try to shut this off. And there's been no fourth from the Zerg player either. So Goose has been really trying to play the keep away game, the contain the Protoss game. And right now, matching bases, this is a race that I think the Zerg needs to capitalize on. And we'll probably see that as we get to Hive Tech. I think that's kind of what we're waiting for. Getting some metabolic boost for the Zerglings. This is probably, if I were to guess, in preparation for maybe some Defiler play and some increased Zergling count. Alright, Dragoons are trying to eat away at the Hydralisk numbers. Big engage staying here. Now the observers have been able to hang out. They haven't been sniped as of yet. The Overlord's staying back. And right now it does look like Protoss is slowly gaining this low ground, this kind of key terrain on this map as it connects the natural and this third base. Yeah, it does look like Protoss has been able to secure this. And might get a good amount of Overlords too. And they're going to zoom away. Yeah, we're going up to Cracklings and we're getting Defilers, baby. That is the next play here for our Zerg player. Now, if you look at the resources, right? Natural, just mined out. Main, mined out. If Zerg can take this third base, that would be GG for the Protoss. Zerg obviously mining out a little bit slower. Doesn't operate with as high of a worker count. Only 38 drones, in fact, for our Zerg player. Seems really low. But has been able to keep that pressure on for so long. And now just kiting back the Protoss army as best as he can. I don't know if Navain realizes how strong he is compared to the Zerg force right now. It's kind of one of those mindset things where if you're getting you're getting beaten up outside your natural for so long, being able to break out of that and really have a good read on the strength of your opponent is a little bit tough. And then over here as well, fourth base going down for Goose as he realizes things are going to start mining out. Now, Protoss is on the offensive. Huge storms go down, killing tons of the Hydralisks out here. And all while this is happening, a contingent of Zealots are going up here, knocking out these macro hatches. Overlords running away before too many of them can go down. And a fourth base for Navain. So Navain has really taken an early game that was not looking too great for him and turned it around into a position of strength and advantage. Now we are starting to see that transition into Zerglings. We're going to have Defilers come out here. We're going to get to see how Goose's Defiler control is. large portion of the army here for Navane is Dragoons, and they'll be basically rendered useless once that gets up into play. Now, 5th base going down for Zerg. And Zerg is supply blocked at the moment. So the Overlord picking being pretty successful here for the Protoss player. But even then, right, 1 macro hatch went down. There's still a lot of hatcheries. And now Navane coming across, he's going to snipe this 4th. Like, I don't think that there's anything that Goose can do to really stop it. He does have lurkers. He's building up a pretty decent army out here. And he's getting the Defilers all energized. Consuming everything. Now, he didn't leave much here. So, this actually might get defended. And I'm not seeing observers with this army either. So these lurkers can do a lot of work if they can avoid some storms. Oh, okay, there are a couple observers. I missed them. Okay, and Navane is running back. He's going to hang out on the high ground, secure the high ground, poke in from a different direction. I'm kind of surprised that this hatchery stayed alive. But there's also probably a good school of thought in the sense that he didn't want to send his whole force up here just to kill a lone hatchery. Because if he was enveloped and trapped up there, that would be a quick way to lose your entire army. So Goose, he's hunting for army. Sends the Zerglings down here. He's going to use them to snipe this High Templar. Ooh, we've got Archons on the field. Crackling's coming in here, doing what they can. Not sure why there's probes out here. And that's it. That's the GG. That was a great game. That was a phenomenal game. So good we watched it twice for those of you that were also here for when we found out the mic was down. So anyway, semifinals, winners bracket, Brood War tournament number 6. Goose is down 1 in this best of 3 series. So let's go ahead and check out game number 2. Great game by both players. All right, game number 2 on Deja Vu. Alrighty, so game number 2, Navane is up by 1. We've got the Protoss down here in the bottom right. Zerg down here in the bottom left. Deja Vu, I kind of refer to it as like the donut map. It's got this huge circle of elevated terrain out in the middle of the map. One of the portions that you see a lot of the conflict on, kind of like last map, we had that low ground outside the natural. That's like the really kind of key location for a lot of fights. On Deja Vu, it's this portion right here, right outside the natural. You have the natural that kind of leads up to this high ground, and then kind of the natural third, if you want to call it. These high ground positions on both sides, I guarantee you we're going to see a lot of fighting right there in those squares. That's pretty much all you need to know about this map. And it has eggs, which are annoying and everyone hates. Okay, so Overlord is heading over to the southeast, the bottom right, and the probe is heading over to the left. Now this is a pretty fast probe again. Dropped the pylon, ran right over. He's going to identify exactly where Goose is. So I'm not going to have to send a second probe like he did last time. If he loses this one again, I doubt he's going to run through the mineral line like he did last time and get his probe sniped. No, he's going to attack that spawning pool. Make his presence known. Second probe coming down here. We'll see if he goes forge again. He does. If it's not broke, don't fix it, as they say. And we'll likely see, okay, this is a scouting drone. He's going to go over and confirm build. Now he has the Overlord. The Overlord is going to spot this. We'll see if the drone turns around. He did that last game. The probe's going to do a good job of delaying this hatchery for as long as possible. Being super annoying. Gosh, Protoss, man. Hatchery goes down. And we have the first cannon. So again, this is, I can't really tell. This might be closer than last time. But last time the cannon placement was a little farther back. And I don't know if that's standard to do or not. But it definitely allowed kind of the free picks of the Forge and the Gateway last time by the Hydralisks. So Probe is going to hang around, see what kind of tech it can see. I'm wondering, wow, this looks like it's an intentional third base. So he identified the bottom right as the Protoss location. And last game, what we saw was kind of the, I'll call it the natural third, the triangle third expansion as being the third base that went down for Goose. This time he's building it way up north. And not only way up north, but in the north natural, right? So in the top left natural base, which means that if he can secure this, defend the choke that's here, Sunken's, Army, or whatever the case may be, then he has a really easy time of taking the main and holding it. So kind of a 2-for-1 deal there. Now last time we also saw from Nevane intentional scouting looking for the third, once he didn't see Zerglings showing up anywhere. Zerglings are poking around, seeing what they can see. We might have the Overlord start getting some hits here from the cannon. Sees that. Bounces back towards the main. Zerglings are finding that probe. They want to knock this out. They don't want the probe going around the map, finding that third base. And you see how he's running this Zergling up? I bet that's deliberately to cut it off, right? Like, hey, yeah, you can run around. That's cool. Just don't go up here. So he's going to go to this bridge. Try and knock it out, at least get him to turn this way. Nevane's not having any of it. He's going straight up here. He's going to find this base. Boom. There's Creep. What's up? He knows where the third base is. He found it. Alright, so hide and seek champion goes to Nevane. And he's just going to run his probe away. And we'll have to see if he goes Hydra. Oh, early Liar. Okay. So not the Hydralist play that we saw last game. And again, this probe, scouting champion, is going to run all the way back down here, and he's going to see this. That was a cool little drone placement. He tried to do a cute little like mineral walk through there. Didn't work out. And we have the Spire go down as soon as the Scout's dead. So we are going to see some Mutalisk play. Ooh, the Zealot runs all the way up here to the 12 or the 11 o'clock. That's going to be a pain in the butt. There's going to be... Oh, nope. I thought these were going to be Zerglings. Okay, we got a couple Zerglings heading up there. Help the drones fight that off. I don't think the hatchery's at risk, but it's definitely an annoyance. And I bet Goose is a little frustrated that it was found in the first place. The Zerglings will take care of this this Zealot. Now, we are seeing Nevane play a little bit differently. Now, he's not being as pressured as early as last game. Last game, he had Hydralisk on his front step. He ran some Zealots out. They got killed really quickly. But this time he's been a little bit untouched. But he's still going the Storm route. But he's opting to get +1 ground weapons earlier than like Dragoon range. Dragoon range was kind of his initial upgrade. And he was kind of going Dragoons. This time he's going more Zealot play. And I think that this may be a little bit of a challenge once these Mutalisks pop. We already have 4 Mutalisks in production. We've got 2 more macro hatcheries being constructed. It looks like, obviously, second gas has been taken. A couple creep colonies to keep these Zealots at bay. I like that he just built this, because even if he doesn't intend on going heavy Hydralisks initially, it mirrors the build that he did last time. So from an information perspective, this looks like Hydralisk until this happens, right? So he'll clean these up, and then he'll immediately probably run over to a mineral line. Now, I don't think there was initially cannons over here. Okay, yeah, one was thrown down. He threw down another one. There's one down here, if you can't see that in the minerals. I think we're set up for a good game. And we see an early Queen's Nest from our Zerg player as well. Okay, so now we're about to see some Mutalisk play. Now it looks like he's... Oh, never mind. I was going to say, it kind of looks like he's taking a route that would loop him around and hit the main base. Now, there's only 4 here. So we'll see what kind of damage he can get done with it. Kills 1 probe, but the cannons are in a placement and an Archon. Goodness. This is going to be pretty tough for just 4 to deal with. What he can do is he can kind of hang out up here and just like plink the Forge and the Gateway. And the Forge just started an upgrade. But really he wants to get some economic damage done. Now he is researching Lurker as well. So we're going to be going from Mutalisks into Lurkers. And he's got his Hive already under construction. So really speeding up the tech in this game as opposed to last game. Only 8 minutes in. I don't think we saw Lurkers that early last game. He was really trying to get the early kill from the Zerg perspective. Now, Robo Facility went down about this time. Yep, there it is for Nivane. And the Mutalisks are here, starting to kill probes. Doing some really good work here with 6 of these Mutalisks. Now, what's going to happen is Nivane's going to go up here and he's probably just going to kill this base, just outright. Now, the Hive's already being constructed, so the Queen's Nest, you know, is what it is. We'll probably see a cancel here, maybe, as things show up. I really thought he was just going to go in there and kill it. But the way this is walled off as well, these Sunkens are really tough to get after. And I think more than even killing this, like if it was a target of opportunity, if it was undefended, maybe go for the kill. But what it's doing as well is it's getting the Mutalisks out of his base. His Mutalisks can't hang out while he's doing that. They'll need to come back and defend. But yeah, these Archons are just going to shred that. Holy crap, there's only 2 left and both of them at a combined like 20 health. So the Mutalisks have effectively been just knocked out. I don't think we're going to see many more of them this game. Tons of upgrades coming out. We got Cracklings being researched. We have Defiler Mound going down for our Zerg player. And the 4th base, right? So earlier we were talking about how this was the natural that he chose to kind of sneak off to. He's getting this easy main. He's got this defended. And so he can just go right up here and have a relatively easy time getting another expansion. Now, he is kind of cut off from his main base and his natural. Got this large open ground. But in order for the Protoss to go up there, right, he's got to deal with kind of the backdoor opportunities that are left open for the Zerg player. Looks like he's sending some Zerglings around to check on expansions. Or just check up here on the high ground. They're going to get knocked out very quickly. And this is going to be a big fight. There's no detection here for the Protoss. So as soon as these Lurkers start shooting spines, he's probably just going to have to pull back. Yeah, he just grabs his army, runs back out of range. He's getting Storm upgrading, he's getting Dragoon range upgraded, and starting to build a ton of Dragoons. And he looks like he's ready to take a 3rd. Now I'm curious if the Mutalisks are going to get down here in time, maybe snipe this. They're on the way. Can they do it? No, not in, just out of the nick of time. That Nexus went down. Some more scouting Zerglings running around, keeping an eye on where the army is. This is obviously not enough to take care of this Nexus. Dragoons are going to push this away, maybe even snipe them both. No, they just fly off. All right, let's take stock of what we got going on. So Observatory has gone down now. Observers are in production. We have Storm on the table. We've got lots of upgrades for everyone. We've got 1-1 for Zealots, same for Dragoons. And then over here, we've got 1-1 for the Zerglings. I think they're Cracklings now as well. And then also missile attacks and Overlord speed. Now the Overlord speed is important here to help take care of those observers with all these lurkers. Keep them up with the army, keep them out of range, but also be able to get these snipes. And that was something that we saw Goose doing a really good job on last game. The Filers are out and about. Lots of Zerglings, good amount of lurkers. It's a pretty big Protoss force, though. We'll see which direction they decide to take Ooh, might get a couple free lurkers. Oh, is he going to get these defilers? Okay. Great Dark Shroud. Still a lot of damage coming through here. And here come the Zerglings. Oh. Now the storm whiffs a little bit. Not much there to hit. And Navain pulls back. I think Navain could have done a lot of damage there. Maybe I'm misreading it, but that felt like something that he could have pushed into with some pretty substantial success. But either way, macroing hard, getting that third base, up and rolling. He has his probe transfer going on while he's pushing out with his army. Good plague. Huge plague went off. You can just see all the red here. Everything's completely jacked up. This lurker is visible, getting a lot of damage in though. Archons are likely going to come up here and clean that up real fast. Ooh, more storms. And eventually all the lurkers do die here on the front line. Now I'm trying to keep an eye on where the rest of Zerg's army is. I don't think there really is one. Okay, there's a good amount of Hydralisks up here. He's got his Nidus network set up. So he can go between bases. That's huge, right? Because he's going to try to fend this off. He's got a bunch of Cracklings out now. They're going to be running up here. Okay, they're forcing the Protoss army back, but if the Protoss army were to split and try to go up north, then he would be prepared to also defend up there. He can just bounce back and forth with his army. Another huge plague goes off. Oh, but a big storm in response as well. This is an absolute slugfest. Protoss sitting here with the high ground advantage at the moment. And the Archon's still mowing through things. He needs to be able to take those down. Now, walking into the Hydralisk after being plagued, not that it does a whole lot. I mean, Archons have basically 0 health anyway, right? 10 health, mostly shields. But still, just that much quicker and easier to take out. Okay, so it does look like Protoss might be splitting army. Okay, I was curious about how this would go. And here we just have a flood of Zerglings. Intending to do a run by, they still might. This might actually pull the Protoss army back. And that would be a very effective use of time. Heading up here to the top right, keeping an eye out. He already knows from the Mutalisk that there's no army up here. This was purely a, hey look, follow me. Stay away from my bases for a minute while I hit you from the south. Oh man. These lurkers are going to burrow and just start annihilating everything that's down here. Oh, he pulled back again. I really thought Navain was going to go up to the 11 o'clock and just wipe that base. But he also knows he can't leave this untouched. Very tense, like, push and pull going on at the moment. Yeah, with this many Zealots and the Archons, Dark Shroud's not doing as much as probably would be desired here for Goose, but still helping a lot with all of these Dragoons, and the Plagues doing a ton of damage. And the Zerglings are just, you know, so efficient in the right numbers. But they do get cleaned up. Oh my gosh, look at the army that's amassing up here. Goose is doing a good job of keeping just the right amount at his natural to defend and parry the attacks that are coming from the Protoss, while amassing his own enormous force. Sorry, checking my phone there for a second. Okay, so the big force did come down. It looks like it was beat up pretty good by the Protoss army, but not before the third base was destroyed. So definitely well worthwhile here for the Zerg player, especially at the timing. Things are starting to get mined out a little bit. Now, a lot of the probes did escape, but now he's going to have to wait for this Nexus to come back up. Now, little strike back of his own. Dark Templar, High Templar with a Storm Drop, with a Zealot. Does get a good handful of drones. Is there another one in here? There is. Gets another storm off. But the shuttle goes down. That gets cleaned up. And the Zerg is still sitting at 53 drones across 5 bases. I would say last game, Goose kind of had the early game. And then Navane was able to push out real hard and ended up finishing it. This game has been pretty even throughout, but I would say that Goose has had the advantage. Navane has had moments of spiked power and opportunity, but I think that Zerg is slowly starting to creep up here. Oh my god, that storm was disgusting. Couple defilers getting sniped. Observer a little out of range, out of position to defend against these lurkers, but no need. Time to go to the natural. And here Navane starts pushing, but there's so many lurkers, so many spines. He's forced back, and at the same time, Zerg is coming back up here to hit the third base again. Trying to deny it. Knocking out some cannons. Is he going to be able to push it? All these cannons are likely to go down to these Hydralisks. Navane pulling back his entire force to try to rescue this expansion. And I think if the Zealots get there in time and they get on top of these Hydralisks, he can protect it. But this just bought Zerg a ton of time, and right now, denying time for the Zerg to continue to repopulating is a really big deal. Really timely resupply of probes there as well. They came just as that got cleaned up. Okay. Zerg. Zerg, I think, maybe, might take the easy third at this point in time. Having instead opted to take the entire left side of the map first. It might be time to come down here, but it also looks like a staging point at the moment. And this might be dangerous and a little out of position for this Protoss force that's coming up here. Now there's a couple lurkers, a couple spines. It is going to do a lot of damage to these Zealots, but not before they take out one of the Sunkens. And again, Goose just being everywhere is forcing Navane to continue to try to own this middle of the map and have his army split to keep an eye on everything that's going on. Definitely proving to be quite the challenge. And not only that, but it's denying these additional expansions. Oh, do we see a drop coming in? I think we do. Now, one Overlord has gone down. And here we go, big drop in the main. And here you can see all of Navane's forces racing to get back. Big plagues going off on the buildings. And the forces just having such pathing issues getting up here. This is doing a lot of damage. Now, I think it will get cleaned up. But it brought the whole army back again. Also, take note, there's only 60 minerals here in the main. Maybe, what, 100 and something here at the natural? And this is the only remaining base that's actually mining any decent amount. And this is the base that continually gets pummeled by Goose. So from an economy standpoint, Goose is just crushing. The cannons are going down quickly to these cracklings. They're coming in here, deciding to target the Nexus. Are they going to get it? They do! Oh my gosh! So in a few moments here, Navane will not be mining anything. Navane somehow securing this expansion, but I don't think that that's going to be tenable for very long. If he does get it up. This has been used as a staging point for Goose. Kind of how Goose has been using this. So Navane, time to go on the offensive, it looks like. See? Like, I don't even think these Mutalisks were actually looking for this expansion. They were just staging. And trying to deny it if anything showed up. Alright, big push coming in here at the 9 o'clock. Looking for the Observer. There they are. Okay, Observers finally show up. They're going to finally be able to take out these Lurkers. There's plenty here. With all these Archons, this is a significant force for the Protoss player. This entire 9 o'clock position just gets completely annihilated. Down here in the south, no Observers, mind you. These Lurkers are also going to be able to just burrow. Please burrow. And when they do, this base is going to just get knocked out. Now the cannons here, it'll provide some detection, but it's going to get targeted down, I imagine, very quickly. Yeah, it's gone, and now everything else is just fish in a barrel. Now the rest of the army is coming down here to the 6 o'clock to try to defend this. That is a lot of lurkers. Archon's doing good work. That storm, that one missed a little bit, but these ones definitely cleaning them up. And that was good. Protoss came in here and protected the Nexus. Killed all the lurkers. Guardians have shown up. Oh my gosh, huge storms from Nevane. But they're still alive. They're still cooking. And you can see here at just the mineral counts, the income issues that Nevane is having at the moment. And this is kind of the game that Goose has been playing this whole time, is just the starve out. Contain you to as little bases as possible. So many probes going down. We're at 32 probes now for Protoss. And it continues to decrease. All the while, down here in the south, the main army is being engaged by the Zerg player. Probes are trying to run over there. Cracklings are hungry, sniffing blood in the water. Okay, the Guardians have been knocked out. We do have a Queen on the field now. And it looks like this third base for Protoss is likely going to get knocked out. Now the rest of the army's showing up. These observers moving a bit slow though. It's going to take a while for them to get up. I like how Goose is spreading the lurkers a little bit in the event that there's storms, and also prioritizing killing the economy. Killing the probes. Anything that he can see that can mine is going down. Now the Archons and Zealots, they're going to do quick work to these lurkers. Over here, a couple lurkers. Whoops, let me just click that off. Setting up behind the mineral line to continue the starving game, all while up here at about the 1 o'clock, Goose is getting another expansion. He hasn't retaken this one yet. He's got this one up and running. Oh man, absolute banger of a match. These lurkers still pummeling. Oh man, killing every probe that comes out. This Nexus is going to fall. Down it goes. Guardians showing up. It looks like they might have been A move to the Nexus that kind of stopped when it died. We have a force from Protoss. Now you can see Protoss's supply really not being replenished very quickly. There's just no money. There's just no money coming in. The Guardian's going to be able to outrange these Archons. Start picking them off one by one. As long as they stay over kind of this terrain, they can run away. He doesn't even need to kill the army. He just needs to starve him, right? No probe is going to get in here and get a Nexus up with those Guardians hanging out. I didn't even see this Reaver hit the battlefield. Utilist serving as the cleanup crew. Nevane. How many bases you got? And if anyone ever asks you that, you should always answer with all except the 6, whether you do or don't. Adding a comma. It's important. Clarity is important. Punctuation, important. More Guardians morphing over here. Just looking. All right, and that is evened up the series. So, Nevane throws in the towel. We have a 1-1 series. Let's go into the last game of the series. Game number 3. And as is tradition, these games are taking longer than I expected, so I don't know how much more we'll do after this. But it's been good. I was kind of thrown off by my mic not working the first bit anyway. Alright, game 3 on Dominator. Probably my favorite map, to be honest. Dominator is a 3-player map. Right now what we're looking at the 11 o'clock position. That's where our red Protoss is. Over here at the 3, we have our blue Zerg. Both players having secured a victory off each other. This is the deciding match. The winner of this match will be going on to the finals, and the loser will be dropping to the lower bracket and playing in the lower bracket semifinals. So potentially in the finals, regardless of the the result of this match, we could have a finals between these two players again. And I think the other person in the lower bracket is Wish. I think Wish is waiting for the loser of this match to face off in the lower bracket semifinals. All right, let's go ahead and... Well, I guess before we kill the map, I usually go over just kind of some key points. Generally on Dominator, 3-player map, the main is in a low ground position. So the natural being up on the high ground does have some early game play. It's a little bit tough to fight people going up a ramp in your natural versus the other way around on most maps. These pizza slices all throughout the minimap that you can see here tend to be kind of key terrain, and there's an all mineral base as you're easier to take third. There's also some dead space kind of in the main, which makes these main bases a little bit droppable as well. Can sometimes sneak in some unexpected drops. All right, so again, we have kind of right off the bat Scout from the Protoss player. This time he's just parking his probe here, trying to get that delay on that natural expansion again. This probe looked like it was going off over here to the like 7 o'clock position to Scout, but I think he's just going to go off and build a third. And we have the Forge opener again from Nevane. Yeah, so this drone is over here prepared to take a third. Notice that this is a third with a gas, right? Also defendable by ramps, a little less expected. If this probe survives kind of these initial Zerglings, what we kind of seen from Nevane is that he doesn't screw around when it comes to scouting for Zerg's third base. And so it didn't survive, so we don't have to worry about it right now, but I have no doubt that Nevane had plans for that probe to poke around and try to find where that third base would be located. Expansion and cannon going down again. First game, this proved a little unsuccessful in the early game, but then turned into a very successful mid and late game for Nevane. And then game 2, what we saw from Goose was more Mutalisk play early on. And with the cannons and the Forge and the early kind of notice from Nevane's scouting, he was able to kind of shut that down. So we'll see which route Goose goes this time. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Hydralisks again. And I say that because last time, I'm pretty sure he got a lair before he got his third base and rushed into Mutalisks. But this time we're not seeing that. We're also not seeing Nevane be as aggressive towards finding the third as much as confirming tech. So trying to keep this probe alive long enough to see if a lair gets started or if like a Hydralisk den gets started. Ah, we got layer going down. Back home, we have the Cybernetics Core. Zealot. And that probe is finally killed. Alright, so we'll probably see Mutalisks again, if I were to guess. Also, Goose is coming off a game where that was successful for him in the long run. Citadel being constructed for our Protoss player. Had a pylon being constructed, canceled it, opted to go for a gateway instead, and is pushing out with 2 Zealots just to keep his pizza slice clear of Zerg. Make sure that he doesn't have an opportunity to amass too many Zerglings or anything up here. Is able to clean those up, and is looks like he's just going to march straight across with those 2. Now after the layer, we have the Spire being built. And again, this third base has not been confirmed yet by our Protoss player. Not much here to really defend these 2 Zealots. Or defend the Zerg from these 2 Zealots. And you kind of see a little bit of of dancing, staying away. That was kind of weird. They were just like hanging out on top of each other there for a second. Moving the drones out of the way. More Zerglings are popping. One of those Zealots is already hurt from the fight previously. Was knocked out. Now another Zealot is in the main base, running around, wreaking havoc. Does confirm the Spire. Ooh. Now he just saw the Zerglings come from over here, and this is going to prompt him to head up and double check this area, and he is going to confirm this third base location. Which, to be honest, isn't terribly surprising. This is kind of the common place for a Zerg third. They want the gas, right? And you don't want to be stuck out here early on. And this is kind of the next direction of travel from the natural. Macro hatchery going down there. Zerglings chomping up a Zealot. And meanwhile, back home for our Protoss player, we've got legs and +1 ground weapons starting again. And archives. So, definitely going back into the Storm aspect. Probably Archon heavy again. And as we're approaching the 6.5 minute mark, I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing some more cannons getting thrown down around the mineral lines. There's a pylon being built there, and that is going to be in preparation to construct those cannons, but I'm wondering if it's going to be fast enough. We got Mutalisks on the way right now. Now, if the Mutalisks decide to play with Zealots for a bit, then yeah, those cannons will probably have plenty of time. And there's only one? I thought there was more than that. Okay, there's a couple more, but he's massing them up back at home. And this Mutalisk is just going to get some free kills on these Zealots. Now Nevane hiding his High Templar, not wanting it to get sniped by a Mutalisk. And cannons going down around the minerals. So I don't think we're going to see much damage from Mutalisk. Now he is kind of going more seriously in it, getting the +1 air weapons. We didn't see that last game, I don't think. If we did, I missed it. So we might see a little bit more of an effort to use Mutalisk to actually get significant damage. Last game he made about 6 and just kind of called it there. Alright, picking off Zealots always feels good. 4 High Templar being constructed at a time. Yeah, we're going to start seeing some Archons being morphed here. That is very dangerous for stacks of Mutalisks. But we also see the Hydralisk den going down. So, not going to be stuck on Mutalisk for much longer. Now, no cannons over here. So, on top of the production, these Mutalisks can actually be really annoying if things start popping out one at a time, such as High Templar or these Zealots that he's building. Now, he's getting more Archons. But this gateway is surely going to go down. It does. Now, trying to move some Archons in to fight these off. Ugh, and these zaps just do so much damage. I don't think Goose is looking at the moment. Does end up losing one. One is heavily bruised, and the rest are kind of beat up. But Goose is taking a 4th. That's where his attention was at that moment. Getting that up and running. He's got Hydralisks in production now. +1 weapons is almost done. Got +1 ranged for his Hydralisks being worked on at the moment. And Storm isn't complete yet either, so Nevane really relying on the Archons from the construction of these High Templar until that is complete. And I think that the Storm timing is going to be really effective for kind of the Hydralisk timing that's going to be coming over here. So if there was a time to snipe High Templar, now would be it. Ooh, nice little threading the needle here from Goose. Able to find kind of the safe spot from these cannons, and is able to force Nevane to move all these probes away for the moment. Yeah, Nevane's going to try to construct a cannon there. Shoo those away. Also the Archon standing ready for ambush, but it looks like Nevane pushing forward towards the Zerg base. A great way to get Mutalisks out of your base is to threaten theirs. I mean, if they've spent so much on these Mutalisks, they must not have much at home, right? That's generally the school of thought early when they show up. But there's so many Hydralisks. So Goosehead has been preparing for this and is slowly getting ready. Lurker Tech is almost complete. He's got 12 Hydralisks, 14 Hydralisks in the production queue at the moment. They're all going to be hatching. And them combined with the Mutalisk harass that's going on at home is going to be pretty stressful to deal with, I think. Now, a lot of Zealots, but a good wall here in front of them. All of these Sunkens. 3 Sunkens and a whole squad of Hydralisks. They're going to kill one, but Nevain's going to pull back a little bit. He's going to save his army. Mutalisk hanging out here outside the natural. There's 5 of them, but there's an Archon waiting to shake hands. Third base going down for Nevain. Up here, so many gateways, it looks like a Tetris block on the mini-map. Protoss is continuing to pump out High Templar. Now, he's getting the robotics facility up and running. And he saw some pretty effective use of Storm Drops last game. They showed up a little bit later, but I could see them making an appearance again. Good hatches, or good morphing into freaking lurkers here on some of these hurt Hydralisks. This one might go down. So it'll be tight with all these guys showing up. There we go. Does rescue that egg. Sunkens are completed. More lurkers being burrowed. Robotics facility isn't up yet. There's no observers. And the lurkers combined with the Sunken and a couple Hydralisks are going to be able to push this force away. So good hold there. Good defense by Goose. I'm just waiting for these Mutalisks to do something. They're pretty banged up, though. I don't think we're going to see much action from them. And the observatory is now going down to help fend off these lurkers for Nevain. Filer Mound going down. Cracklings being researched. Starting to get into Hive Tech. And a lone lurker running around and parked himself in the perfect location. These cannons can't see it. That's gotta be frustrating. So first observer is about to hit the field. Protoss army is kind of cleaning up any remaining Zerg that are over in this area. It looks like he used Storm to take care of this lurker. Nice lurker placement there as well. It's not terribly uncommon to like send a worker and then look away for a little bit. It'll be dead and you'll be like, oh, did I send a worker over there? Send another one. Go do something. It'll be dead. Around the 3rd or 4th worker, you're like, oh, there's something there. Yep. They're about to take the all-mineral base here. This will be their 5th base. And it looks like Nevain's trying to get his 4th up. See? You see how you just, like, send a worker? Like, if there was a lurker there, it'd just be toast. And you'd just do it over and over again a couple times. Hydralisks being caught out in the open a little bit. They are trying to make this push again on the 6 o'clock base, but there's still a ton of lurkers there. The difference in this fight is that there's a lot of storms and there is an observer. So I think that this might go a lot better for the Protoss this time around. But he gets pushed back again. I think the observer might have died. Maybe. This might be a second one. So he's rotating up towards the natural base of the Zerg. And right now the Hydralisks are going to work on the Zealots. Big storms here. Doing so much damage. Holy cow. Protoss force really pushing in. Packing a wallop here on the Zerg. Overlord's going down. Zerg still not supply blocked. And now the Protoss is just camping outside the natural for the Zerg. Now this wall combined with these Sunkens and these lurkers is so powerful. And you can just see the Zealots getting evaporated, but these storms doing tons of damage. The standing army that was here was effectively wiped out. There's a lurker down here kind of covering the gap. More storms going down in the natural. The army's kind of halted progression. I don't think Nevain wants them to get sucked in, so to speak. Slowly moving forward, getting a good storm on this lurker. It does go down. Observers are there to see it. More lurkers coming up from the rear, but Nevane was ready for it. He's storming the crap out of them. They're going to drop right here. 2 of them go down. 2 do survive. And Goose, with a great hold. The Sunkens all remain. A lot of the lurkers are dead. But overall, that was very successful. Kind of unfortunate. I didn't see what was up here during that fight. But Nevane probably could have wiped this out. Now, to be fair, Nevane came from the south, right? So he was down here, he was fighting this, and then came up to the natural. I hear fighting. Guardians! This is why Goose keeps those Mutalisks around. Like, well, I'll just turn them into Guardians later. This makes a few of them. I think he made like 6 Mutalisks this whole time. 7 Mutalisks. But now they're the ever-lethal Guardian. And that's super annoying. We haven't seen like really any air coming from the Protoss player. A lot of Protoss players will opt against Zerg instead of doing kind of this forge expand into more of like a early game Corsair play. And if that was an option that was on the table, that would really probably shut down any type of Guardian work that's going on. All right, Nevane throws in the towel. Goose will be moving on to the finals as our finalist from the winner's bracket, and that means Nevane will be facing off against Wish, I think. This is the right tournament, in the lower bracket semifinals. So definitely looking forward to that. I am going to call it for tonight. This was a short one. I'll just post this one video. But yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. GG's.